Have you ever felt, well, stuck? You know, that feeling where you know exactly what you want to do, what you should do, but you just can't get yourself to start. Today, we are diving deep into the science of what's really happening inside your brain, and we're going to build a toolkit to finally break that cycle of dissatisfaction and get your drive back. Okay, let's get into it. So let's start with this quote from Mel Robbins because it might be the single most important thing you need to hear about making any change in your life. We spend so much of our lives waiting to feel motivated, waiting for that lightning bolt of inspiration to strike. But here's the hard truth. That feeling isn't coming. Your brain is wired to stay comfortable, to stay on autopilot, and it will almost always win unless, that is, we learn how to bypass that feeling completely. And just to put this all in perspective, scientists have actually calculated the odds of you being born, you, at this exact moment, to your parents with your unique DNA. The number is 1 in 400 trillion. I mean, think about that. When you've won that kind of cosmic lottery with that much potential packed into your existence, just feeling fine, well, that's a trap. And that really is the trap, isn't it? Saying I'm fine is how we give up on our dreams without ever having to admit we're giving up. It's the permission slip we write for ourselves to just not try. Oh, I'm fine with this job. I'm fine with this relationship. I'm fine feeling like this. It's like hitting the snooze button on your entire life. So if saying I'm fine is the trap and waiting to feel like it is a total myth, then what's the answer? How do we get out? Well, lately there's been this really popular trend that promises a total reset for our fried brains, the dopamine detox. But before we jump on that bandwagon, we really need to understand what the science actually says. Yeah, this is where we have to separate the social media fad from the actual science. What you see online is often this extreme, all-or-nothing fast from anything that brings you pleasure. But that whole concept actually comes from a real, proven psychological practice, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. And CBT is totally different. It's a targeted, mindful way to change specific bad habits, not a scorched earth policy on your brain's reward system. And here's why that difference is so critical. According to research from places like the Cleveland Clinic, you literally cannot detox from dopamine. It's not a poison. It's a vital neurotransmitter that our bodies need to function. It's involved in everything from how we move, to our sleep, to our actual will to live. In fact, having too little dopamine is linked to some really serious conditions like Parkinson's and depression. So to really move forward, we have to get dopamine's job description right. The neurobiologist Andrew Huberman calls it the molecule of more. See, it's not actually the feeling of pleasure itself. It's the motivation that drives us to go get the reward. It's the engine of seeking, of craving, of pursuit. It's the go-get-it chemical. And this is the core idea that changes everything. We all have a steady, day-to-day level of dopamine. That's our baseline. When we do something rewarding, we get a temporary spike, right? A peak. But Huberman explains that our satisfaction, our motivation, our entire experience of life isn't determined by just how high that peak is. No, it's all about the height of the peak relative to our baseline. Okay, let's make this real with some data. A simple, pleasant activity like eating a piece of chocolate, that gives you a nice, modest little dopamine peak, about 1.5 times above your baseline. Something a little more rewarding, like sex, doubles that baseline level, a 2x increase. But here is where the problem starts. Certain substances create these gigantic, unnatural spikes. Amphetamines can be 10 times above your baseline. I mean, it just floods the system. And that incredible feeling, it comes with a very steep price. Because here is the unbreakable rule of this system. After every single peak, your baseline doesn't just go back to normal. It temporarily drops below where it started. And the higher that peak was, the deeper and longer that crash is going to be. This is why you feel so unmotivated after indulging too much. It's why people get those post-celebration blues. Your brain is literally paying the dopamine bill. So now we kind of get the chemical push and pull, right? The bigger the high, the bigger the crash. And this starts to explain that mental battle we feel every day. We know logically that going for a run is better for us than scrolling on our phone. But after a long day of little dopamine hits from emails and notifications, the phone usually wins. It's because we're not just fighting a bad habit, we're fighting a very real force of resistance inside our own heads. Mel Robbins has a great name for this: activation energy. It's the effort, both physical and mental, that it takes to break your routine. You know that feeling of getting out of a warm, comfy bed into a cold room? That initial push, that moment you have to force yourself up, That is activation energy. And every new, uncomfortable, or difficult thing you want to do requires it.
And to make it even harder, your brain has this built-in mechanism to fight you on it. Robbins calls it the emergency brake. Anytime you try to do something new, something that isn't on your normal autopilot program, your brain instinctively yanks that brake. It's trying to conserve energy and keep you safe in your familiar, comfortable patterns. This is that voice of hesitation that just kills all your best impulses.
Okay, so we've looked at the problem from both sides now, the neurochemical side and the psychological side. Now for the good part, let's actually build the solution. Let's put together a practical, science-backed toolkit for rewiring your brain for action. All right, first we're going to borrow from cognitive behavioral therapy. So instead of some vague detox, you have to get specific. Pick one behavior, say mindless scrolling at night, and then run an experiment on yourself. Abstain for a set period, maybe an hour, maybe a full day, and then replace it with something healthy, like going for a walk. The key here is journaling, writing down what your triggers are and how you feel. See, this isn't about eliminating pleasure, it's about mindfully changing one habit at a time. Okay, now for the long game. To maintain that drive long-term, Andrew Huberman says we need to use something called intermittent reinforcement. All this means is that the reward doesn't come every single time. Why? Because predictable rewards actually become less motivating over time. It's the unpredictability that keeps our dopamine system hooked and engaged. This is the exact mechanism that casinos and video games use to keep you playing. And you can totally apply this to your own life. Don't always stack your workout with your pre-workout drink and your favorite pump-up playlist. Sometimes just do the work. By making those extra rewards random, you stop making the activity itself dependent on all those boosts. This is how you keep your baseline healthy and your motivation strong over the long haul. So we have our long-term strategy for motivation, and we have our mindful way to change habits. But what about that moment-to-moment fight? That battle against your brain's emergency brake? For that, we need one last tool. And it all comes down to this number, 5. This is Mel Robbins' genius 5-second rule. It's a tool for metacognition. Basically, a way to outsmart your own brain in real time. The rule is simple. When you have an impulse to do something productive, you have a 5-second window to take a physical action. Stand up, put on your running shoes, open the document. You have to move before your brain's emergency brake kicks in and talks you out of it. It's just a simple countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! And really, that's the whole point, isn't it? Knowing this stuff isn't enough. You now understand the dopamine system. You see the fine trap, you know about the mental forces holding you back. You have the toolkit. So the only question left is the one that really matters. Right now, you might feel an impulse to use this. An idea is forming. What are you going to do in the next 5 seconds?